Hiya, it's Jason and Jason's Jungle, and today I'm going to be canning my rhubarb. I have 11 pounds of rhubarb here. Now that's quite a lot of sticks to eat in one go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steam can them and preserve them for the year. First thing I need to do though is to give these a rinse and get rid of any muck on them. The recipe that I'm using is from the USDA Complete Guide to Home Canning 2015 revision. This is done by the branch of the US government responsible for food safety, and the great thing about it is it's free. You can download it. It's on the website. You can go to the web pages and I'll put a link to it down in the bottom. But it basically contains instructions and guides on how to can safely with a whole range of foods. I'm cutting these about 1 inch long bits. That means they're going to stew, cooking the juices quickly when they're in the jars in the steamer. So again, with cutting these all chopped up, and I'm going to weigh them and sort out the sugar. So here we go, all chopped. It's coming up to just under 5 kilograms, or about 10 3/4 pounds. And the instructions that I've got state that you have half a cup of sugar for every quart of rhubarb. But at least it does say that a quart of rhubarb is about 1.5 pounds. So if I have 10 3/4 divided by 1.5, that means I've got 7 quarts. And for half a cup per quart means I need about 3.6. Now each cup would be about 200 grams. So that would mean I would need about 700 grams, 750 of sugar. So I might as well just measure it out in cups. Seems I have my cup measure here. So I need 3.5. Now if you like your sugar, your rhubarb tart, you can on the lesser. Or if you like it sweet, you can add a bit more sugar in, I suppose. That's 1. 2. 3. That's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do, with the scales now, just get in and mix all this up, get the sugar distributed, and then I will leave it overnight. I might have to get my hands in here. No, I'll do this. Then I will leave it overnight and let it, and then cook it tomorrow. So it will be drawn out all the juices so that I don't have to add any water. To cook it. So I'll get on with this and then I'll just pop a couple of towels over it. So I've had the rhubarb standing for a while after I put the sugar on. the next day now, and if I take this off, you can see there's actually quite a lot of juice pulled out of it. This is all rhubarb juice, there's no added water. And you can see that there is quite a lot of stuff to stew it in. So the next step will be to get this into a pan, bring it to boil, and start canning. Before I start boiling the rhubarb, I just want to quickly show you the steam canner. So this is by Fruit Savers. This can be used anywhere that you have water bath canning, as long as it's less than 45 minutes. Now it takes a reservoir in here that you add your water to. Now your water comes to below this level, say I'm on a hard water area, that doesn't matter. The water comes to just below the level of the tray there, the support, and that means that your jars aren't sitting in water. They get covered by the steam, and the steam is what does the cooking. If we look at the top of here, you can see a dial. You can see me. In the dial, there's 3 zones, 1, 2 and 3, and this is for the altitude. Altitude in zone 1 is 0 to 3,000 meters, feet, sorry. 3,000 feet, that's pretty tall. I don't think there's anything in my area that's 3,000 feet. If we go to the top of the Cheviots, I think that's getting close, but I'm not carting all this up a mountain just to do some canning. So, I'm in the first ring, zone 1, the blue one. So I wait until it comes all the way around to this dark green on the right hand side, and that'll say that it's ready to start the timer. Now this isn't pressurised. This is basically the same atmospheric pressure, so it's not a pressure canner. On the back of here, you can see there is a vent. So what happens is, as this produces steam, steam rises up, it displaces the air that's in it, which gets pushed out through the vent. Some steam will condense on there, and that will come down and make a ring and a seal around the base and the lid, so that really it's a closed environment with that vent, which helps keep the pressures there. But it also means that there's nothing but steam up in here, and because steam has to be at the temperature of boiling water, which at this elevation I'm about 200 foot, so that'll be basically 100 degrees. It means that inside there 100 degrees, and that's what's heating up and preserving during the canning. Yeah, so it may rattle a bit once the steam is producing, because although that equalises the pressure, it can get slightly higher, and that just lifts the lid a little bit. That's normal, so it'll rattle. There'll be bubbling around here as any excess steam escapes, but in general it's normal atmospheric pressure, and it uses so much less water than water bath. I would have to have water completely covering the jars, and because of that it uses so much less fuel to keep this and get this hot, and it reduces the time because I don't have to wait for it to get hot enough, the water boil, because there's so much less water to boil. So here's the setup. I've got my board for putting the warm glasses on so they're not sitting on a damp counter. I've got my tongs, my jar lifters for using the hot jars, my tongs for taking the jars out of the oven, which they're currently in getting sterilised. I have the funnel for filling the jars with. I have my dual purpose air gap measure and debubbler, vinegar and paper towels as for wiping down the rims of the glass, so that when I put my lids on, which are sitting in hot water here, they will be able to seal, they're not going to have anything sticking in the way. The lids are in hot water. Because this will be cooking in the canner for 15 minutes, which is more than 10 minutes, you don't need to sterilise them if they're being done for 10 minutes. Anything less than 10 minutes, they would need to be sterilised if they're in either steam canner, water bath canner, or pressure canner. But I'm getting them warm so that just helps soften the rubber seal, make it a better seal. And of course, I have a ladle for scooping it out with. And you can see I've got the pan on, the pan on full of rhubarb, and that'll be brought up to the boil. And then in the back I've got the canner on, and that's just bringing up to temperature. The rhubarb is just about to come to the boil now. I've got my rings out, I've got my jars out, I've got my lids out, I've got my vinegar, and I've got my paper for wiping the rings. I've got my slotted spoon, my funnel, and my ladle. So what I'm going to do first is take a sample of the juice. And as I said before, I need it to be less than 4.6. So I've got a pH meter. Pop this into here. And that is 2.99. You can see how acidic the rhubarb is. Ooh, yeah, nice tart, but a bit of sweetness there. Anyway, so I'll turn this down and we'll start filling these up. So I'll use the slotted spoon first, so I'll get all the rhubarb in there. So I've got 8 pint glasses here. Now I think that takes 9, but I've run out of pint glasses. I don't have that many pint glasses, mainly because half pints are easier for one person. And if I'm out at work and my mother wants to make herself something, she likes to have a half pint where she doesn't leave the jar open in the fridge till the next time, rather than a pint where she'll only use some of it. And if you've got half pints, you can always use 2 or more of them to get what you need. So I'm filling these up. I might have to take more at that first one because I have to get these within ½ inch, which is that much, or basically about the level at the bottom of these, and then I'll have to debubble. But once this is pushed down, you can see, even though I'm using the slotted spoon, I've got liquid right up to here already, so I'm going to have quite a bit of liquid left. That's fine because it makes a very nice drink. I'll fill up all these jars and then I'll show you what happens when they're full. Okay, before I put the lids on, I've got vinegar. The vinegar will help cut through the sugar that's been spilt on here as I've been filling. So basically I just go through and I rub each one, and what I want to do is I want to make sure I take off any little rhubarb hairs, little strands of the fibres, any chunks of rhubarb, any sugar, any liquid, and the vinegar just helps to cut through that. Try to get a little bit clean every time. And you're not getting it drenched, you're just getting enough on so you can give it a good wipe. Then I take this, Should cool down a bit, but that still should be a little bit flexible. I just pop these on. So it looks like I'm not going to get any half pint jars out of this. Unless I want to strain the juice. Which I might do, strain the juice into a rhubarb juice. Or I might just drink that fresh. Okay, so the lids are on. Now, you take these rings, you pop them on, and you do it so it's basically hand tight, so I'm not screwing them on. So what's supposed to happen is that air gap will heat up and expand. It will push itself out of the lid, and then when it cools down, it'll create a vacuum which will suck this lid back on. And that will create a nice seal that will preserve the jars. And because it's been getting up to 100 degrees, that will kill off any bacteria like any food poisoning. And because it's acidic, that will stop any botulism. So now, I've had this heating up. It's quite warm now. As you can see, the steam's starting to come off. So now, I take this. You hold it with the rubberized black bits in there, and the other one just hooks over the jar, and I move it onto here. So just take these, pushing them out around here. You notice there's no water in the bottom, on the bottom of the jars. It's all underneath the shelf. I've got 8 pints in there. I can put my lid back on. And it's not at temperature yet, so I'll turn it up so it gets boiling. And it goes into the green. And I'll bring it back then. Whilst that comes up to temperature, this is what's left in the pan. Not enough to do another half pint jar even, but quite a lot of liquid. So that can be cooled down, use a nice refreshing drink. You know, a bit tart, a bit sugar, and you can always just put it through a sieve and get the solids out for pudding, which is probably what I'm going to be doing with that. So you can see it's up to temperature. And out the back there's a constant vent of vapour. And I feel carefully to make sure that this is rising slightly on the steam. So this is the juice that I got off the pan. Enough for a couple of drinks. This will be cooled and stuck in the fridge the next time the sun decides to show itself. I also got a couple of bowls worth of stewed rhubarb out of it, and I ate one. It was lovely. And now, this has been cooling for a while, still warm. The 15 minutes were up, been turned off, allowed to cool down. It's cooled down quite a bit, but still open it away from you to let the blast of hot air and any steam out. And now there we have 8 pints. Let's take them off. Next time I do this, I'll just start on the half pints. Any excess will go into the pints afterwards. And that might not be very long. Because although I took £11 the other day, yesterday, there's still masses left on the plant. So this is what my rhubarb plant looks like after I've taken that £11 off of it. Still quite healthy, still quite a lot there. So in a week or two I might end up taking a bit more off and can a bit more. You can see these are a little bit loose here. You don't tighten them up, just leave them as they are, because what should happen is as this cools down, the air will contract and it will pull these in, and we'll eventually start hearing it go click, click, click as each one gets pulled down. But that needs all of this to cool down. This can hold its heat for quite a while. So that's it. That's me stewed rhubarb, and I will see you on my next video.